I want you to consider something. You are beautiful. You are an exquisite piece of art, full of grit and a whole lot of heart. And it was that way right from the start. But somewhere along the way, you got caught trying to be someone you're not. You've actually done that a lot. You do this because you want belonging and connection more than you want judgment and rejection. You want presence, interdependence, basic attendance, reverence, and acceptance for your essence. You don't want more relationship drama or trauma. You want to be with people who like you, love you, and respect you. But remember, in life, people are going to accept you, and they're going to reject you no matter who you're being, who's believing, who's agreeing, or what you're achieving. So you may as well be you, all of your damn self. But wait, you say, what about that mess I made yesterday? What will they say if I act this way? Well, you mean the raised voice? The poor choice, the name-calling, the stonewalling, the avoiding, the finger-pointing, the self-hating, the self-deprecating, the self-medicating, the dominating, the exaggerating, the manipulating, and the placating? You mean that mess, right? Yes, my guess is you hide that mess from the rest, trying only to show your best. But you and I both know sometimes behind closed doors, you're just a fucking mess. If you have a resistance to admit this, it's because you're afraid that if you start telling the truth now, that person sitting next to you or standing next to you might judge you, talk shit about you, might ignore you, humiliate you, blame you, shame you, abandon you, reject you, and outright not accept you. And then who would you be sitting next to? Nobody, right? You'd be all alone, a lone wolf, a lone ranger, a loner. Ouch. It is in fact deadly to be all alone, more deadly than smoking 15 cigarettes a day, they say. I get it, I do, I was like you. Actually, I still feel that way too, depending on who I'm talking to. You know, it's like you decide to hide and confide in no one. Keeping the mess inside, you go on a ride and create a divide inside. An internal split, an inner conflict between who you really are, your true self, and your strategic self. Who you think other people think you should be. You know, the part of you that isn't messy, that doesn't trigger anyone, that's just doing great all the time, that trickster, that huckster, that fraudster. It's like you have two faces and you're in two places at the same time. Is that a crime? No, it's the normal paradigm. It's how most people operate. And then they complicate, truncate, and negate this part of themselves. And you create elaborate strategies which hold back your capacities, which creates more casualties, allergies, and fallacies, which creates more apathy and gravity, which messes with your sanity, all while you keep trying to live in a fantasy. But the good news, and maybe the bad news, is when you stop trying and you stop lying and you stop everything you're doing and it's quiet and you're all alone, you'll hear a knock, a hum, a drum, a steady whisper that's almost a blur, a tiny voice that brings the truth that something feels off. Something isn't quite right. You lay awake in the middle of the night, but being stubborn, you fight, and you pretend everything's all right. And then you turn off the light. And you look in the other direction for some kind of correction. Instead of honest self-reflection, you choose deflection. Medicating away from what's real, putting a lock and a seal on the real deal, creating a sham and a scam with Instagram, TikTok, beer, wine, weed, sugar, porn, TV, Netflix, The Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, Yellowstone, The Mandalorian, ESPN, and that goddamn phone. That distraction and medication that keeps you feeling unmet, unseen, and not known. Look, the whole reason you won't be yourself is because you tried that when you were little. You got hurt, it stung, and you became brittle, and it started to whittle away at your sense of self, which started to impact your physical and your mental health. So you made a pact, a contract that kept you from feeling the impact of a potential attack. You shoved the mess down, you buried it deep where it couldn't be found, and you became a traitor, trading your messy true expression for more socially acceptable behaviors and connection. This was a genius way to interact, but here's the fact. You have choice and power now you didn't have back then. Is this how you want to act, to reenact, to put on a mask? I guess it makes sense if your heart starts to crack and no one has your back. But right now, you can get back on track and make a comeback, coming back to who you really are. How? Through relationship, of course, because it's in deep, authentic friendship, relationship, and partnership that we get triggered into this inner conflict and we get an opportunity to resolve it. It's through connection that we find a correction. It's through the eyes of another that we either go undercover, smother, or recover ourselves. It's through a relationship where our truest selves get reworked, rebirthed, and rewired. It's through relationship that you become a radical revolutionary that can carry and no longer bury the magical, messy truth inside with a commitment to no longer hide. Look around. Right now, you have allies at your side who also don't want to hide, who want to go on this ride of sharing the mess inside. Inside that mess are the seeds to something profound. And the only way it can grow is with other people around. Other people are the water we need, the air we breathe. Fellow human travelers are what we need to grow this seed. So share the mess with the rest. And the rest is history. And if they don't want your mess, let there be no mystery. They become part of your history. And that, my friend, is another small victory and another stepping stone on your relational path back home.